Okay, it's 6 p.m. Pacific time. So I will now call to order the THPRD Board of Directors meeting for October 11th, 2023. Lindsay, would you please call roll?
Miles Palacios.
Here.
Tia Ping. Here. Harvey Minor.
Here.
Elisa de Monteblanco. Alfredo Moreno.
Here. All right. Do we have any action resulting from executive session?
This is Barbie, and I've got two motions for us this evening. First motion, I move that the Board of Directors authorize staff to acquire the property in the northwest quadrant of the district for the price discussed in executive session using system development charge credits, subject to the standard due diligence review and approval by the general manager or designee.
We have a second on that.
Yeah, I'll second.
So separate votes, correct? Yes.
Please.
Okay, thank you. Lindsay, would you please call roll again?
Yes.
Yes.
Tia Ping.
Yes.
Harvey Minor.
Yes.
Elisa de Monteblanco. Alfredo Moreno.
Yes.
I'd like
Here,
to follow that.
sorry.
Welcome, Lisa.
All right. Okay. Did you have another motion there, Barbie?
I do indeed. I move that the Board of Directors authorize staff to acquire the property in the northwest quadrant of the district for the price discussed in executive session using system development charge credits, subject to standard due diligence review and approval by the general manager or designee.
This is Tia, I'll second.
Thank you, Lindsay. Once again, would you?
Palacio.
Yes.
Tia Ping.
Yes.
Harvey Minor.
Yes.
Elisa de Monteblanco.
Yes.
Alfredo Moreno.
Yes. Okay, thank you. We are on to agenda item number 4, audience time, and I believe we have somebody in person who is here to testify.
We do, Ryan.
Yes, hi.
Hi, Ryan, please just state your full name and address, and just a reminder, you have 3 minutes.
My name is Ryan Maris, 10145 Southwest Cynthia Street, Beaverton, Oregon, 97008. I'm here today to just kind of see how the board works, and I wanted to discuss mountain biking or just off-road bike cycling in THPRD's district. And I wanted to just see if I could work with you guys to implement like something here. I don't know. I recently went to the Chehalem Parks Recreation meeting, and we had there was a result of they banned mountain biking in a 110-acre quadrant of Bob and Crystal Riley Park in a very heated board meeting. Yeah, there was like 200 people there. And then I went to Tigers Park meeting on Monday and talked to them about it. And I just wanted to come here and just work with you guys. I'm actually in your guys' district though, so I think it makes more sense to go to the THPRD one. But yeah, I have 2 minutes left, but I don't have anything else to say. So I'm just gonna...
Well, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for coming all the way down and sharing your love of mountain biking, and would love to turn it over to the staff to kind of let us know what do we do currently, what are we looking, what opportunities might we have?
Sure. Why don't, Bruce, if you wouldn't mind making it your way to this one over here. Incidentally, Bruce Bob Ross here is got the trail side as a manager for the Park District. And he'll be able to elaborate more, but certainly open the meeting with you as well, for sure.
I'll just say, generally speaking, we are underdeveloped in the mountain bike area. Mountain bikes are allowed on most of our trails, except in a couple of locations, mainly the nature parks, just to protect wildlife there and to kind of help different types of users get along. But it's definitely an area where we know long-term we need to address. And so it'd be nice to sit down and chat with you sometime about some of your ideas and what some of the needs of the mountain bike community are.
Sweet, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you for coming
Same
down
thing.
and,
Sharing with us.
okay, we are on to agenda item number 5, board time. And please raise your hand on the board so I know who wants to go. Barbie, I see you.
Okay, I was trying to do a little dance for you. Busy month last month, excited to share a few updates. I had the pleasure of joining our Nature and Trails Committee with our new board liaison assignment. So this was my first session. We were provided an update on all the different kinds of nature programming that we offer. And so everything ranging from our youth program to Friends of Tualatin Nature Park to our preschools, et cetera. So really incredible to hear that update, as well as seeing the work of the actual committee. And currently the committee is looking through trail gaps and where signage and other wayfinding markers and such could be helpful for users. And so we were joined by a representative in Washington County, and members of the committee are really doing a tremendous job going out on their own bikes, on their own feet, taking pictures to show where perhaps one connection meets another and maybe we're missing a sign. And that could help a user determine whether they're to go left and or right. I share that to just say the work of our volunteers is so tremendous, and I just want to offer my thanks and appreciation because the level of detail that was offered so that the committee can actually come back to the board and present some recommendations on how to fill in these trail gaps will be tremendous. So wanted to share that. Thanks. In addition, I had the pleasure to join fellow Director Palacios and Director Monteblanco at the City of Beaverton's Brighter Beaverton Celebration Parade. And it's always incredible to get out in the community and to see the faces. And I got to be a lucky person to hand out candy. And there's not a better way to see the community in Beaverton than to be front and center handing out candy. So it was just nice to see all the different walks of life coming together, lining the streets. And I tell you, if I heard it once, I heard it a million times when they would recognize that I was with THPRD. We love THPRD. So it makes this job really easy when you get that kind of immediate feedback. I think the last is I also had the pleasure to attend the Northwest Equity Summit put on by Partners in Diversity with some fellow staff members and fellow board directors as well. Was a rather impactful day. It's hard to summarize an entire day of programming that is really centering the needs of what we claim in our mission statement with our values to dismantle systems of white supremacy and to work on ensuring that we are elevating our district to a way that ensures that we are inclusive and accessible for all and what that looks like. I think something that I would just offer as a comment as we as a board head into our retreat here in the next couple of weeks is just being mindful of the distinction between intent and impact. And I think we are all aligned and there's a lot of energy and stellar intention to ensure that we are really delivering on what we say our goals are. But the second component to that is making sure that we're measuring in an accurate way so that we can actually learn and understand and determine if in fact these different programs and ways in which we are looking to engage with community are actually delivering the results that we hope they do. And so it's just a checks and balances for us that I would like to just offer and make sure that we are holding ourselves accountable to look backwards at programs that we have in place and ensuring that they are delivering the results that we hope that they do. So thank you for the opportunity to attend. It was quite an impactful session. That's it for me.
Other board members wish to share? Tia.
Yeah, last month was really busy, but it was so wonderful. I think we started with the Cooper Mountain Tour with a bunch of different electeds who came to go tour and actually walk and be in the physical space of the potential property right below our current Cooper Mountain Nature Center. And so it was just lovely to have a variety of electeds come together and hopefully have the same values and potentially work together to create something and that's long lasting and legendary. So hopefully that works out, but everybody witnessed and it was a beautiful day that day and everybody witnessed and saw the beauty and the jewel that is Cooper Mountain. I also attended my first audit committee meeting and it was basically kind of like just training about what is to be expected and what's going to be happening in the next couple months. So that was really interesting, and I'm excited to get started on that. And then we also did program and events, and we had a great presentation from our fitness program group, and I believe it was Miles that presented, who is amazing and just very energetic, a perfect representation of our staff. And he went through all the different things that they are working on currently, including lots of free things for our community, like fitness in the park, all of our kind of different walks that we have, a free mobile rec. So lots of things that our community that kind of speak to our values, and that is, it's very accessible. It's a variety of different things so that somebody can hopefully find one thing that they're able to enjoy within our district. Also, there was a presentation about our inclusive programming, which includes things like our talking walls that we absolutely love and are beautiful and have just made our locations and centers just so beautiful and wonderful to walk through. Welcoming week that we just went through, and the more intentional thing of working with community groups to have community-led events in that we are hosting with them, and so that we are providing more of an eclectic and variety of different events, which I am super excited for, and always excited to see what comes up and what different experiences all of us can have, and to help celebrate somebody else's culture and diversity. And then, yes, our Northwest Equity Summit that we went to was very eye-opening, really invigorating to kind of refocus and repurpose our purpose right before we go into our retreat. So I'm excited. Barbie summarized it really, really well. And I think just like her, the impact of the impact and how we measure that is something that is quite interesting, that I think we always have intended and have been outspoken about all the things that we've been intentional of what we want to do. So it's really exciting to kind of have more of a direction of towards how do we measure that, and how impactful, or what impact we have, and how we keep ourselves accountable. So.
Thank you, Tia. Miles, anything?
I'll go ahead and hop in here. I unfortunately wasn't able to make the rescheduled meeting for the Parks and Facilities Committee meeting, but I hear that they are doing some great work on their proposal for their challenge grant. And I'm really excited to be able to hop into the group committee meeting next week, as well as the Park and Facilities Committee meeting on Wednesday, the 18th. Just to echo the Cooper Mountain Trail, that whole visit to the property was incredible. It was really cool to see the space that we are looking at, along with all the elected officials that were able to come out and support. So big shout out to everyone who made that happen, because it was impactful. Stemming from that, we also, to our President Moreno here, the invitation to go check out the Five Oak Museum. And we got to do that this last week, and that was really cool. The exhibit that we got to see was Replenish the Roots, and it was a really neat story of just this community and the land and the connection to the indigenous folks that have been in this space prior to the colonization of this area, and seeing that there is a group in a community here that is celebrating that history and doing their best to educate our community about it. So I was really thankful for the invitation to be educated and to get to experience that a little bit hands-on. So thank you. Yeah, that is it for me in terms of updates for this week.
Thank you, sir. I believe Felicia is struggling with internet right now, so I will we'll go ahead with my own here. Let's see. At the beginning of the month, I had the opportunity to have a meeting with Portland Timbers CEO Heather Davis and CFO Sarah Keene, and got a tour of the Timbers training facility, which is right next to THPRD's Fano Service Center there. And essentially my high level takeaway of the meeting was that we we've been longtime partners with the Timbers to a certain extent, and I think that is a partnership done with reciprocity that we can really do at a higher level. I think to benefit both organizations. So I'm hopeful we can find a long-term solution that is agreeable to both THPRD and to the Portland Timbers, as I think there's a lot more good work that we can do together to benefit the community of Greater Beaverton as a whole. So excited about that, optimistic about that. I know there's lots of very detailed and challenging work ahead, but I hope we will embrace that with a certain level of optimism there. So, and then I'm here in Dallas, Texas with several of the THPRD staff. We're here for National Recreation and Parks Association National Convention. There's a lot of people who work in Parks and Rec throughout the country. This is a huge event. I wanted to call out that my biggest takeaway so far is I had the opportunity to take a tour of several very impressive downtown parks here in Dallas on Monday, along with Aisha Panis and Keith Watson. You know, every jurisdiction is going to be a little different in how they're operated and who does what, but you know, the thing they do very well here is public-private partnerships and foundations who raise money to benefit the creation of parks and the maintenance of parks. You know, it is a little apples and oranges at times, but I do feel, you know, personally in the future, I think that continuing to lean into public-private partnerships will only benefit us and our community, which thankfully thinks the world of us and is willing to support us. And I look forward to what we can do to, you know, bolster our already excellent programming and facilities and nature and trails. So all good things that I think we can gain a little inspiration from and implement in our own way in our backyard. So those are the two I wanted to call out. And unless I saw Felicia pop on for a second, but I don't think she's there. No, I don't think so. Okay. Let us move on to agenda item number 6, shall we? Consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
We do indeed. This is Barbie, and I move that the board approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, Lindsay, would you please take the vote?
Palacio,
Yes.
Tiapine,
Yes.
Darby Minor,
Yes.
Felisa de Monteblanco, Alfredo Moreno.
Yes. All right, thank you. Number 7, unfinished business, general manager's report.
You bet. We've got 3 different presentations. We're going to start off with Jazz and Karen going over the broad perspective for summer events and welcoming week.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? Great.
Let's see if I can navigate this technology. Just kidding. I'm Karen Hudson. I'm the Community Events Supervisor.
My name is Jazz Miranda, and I'm the Cultural Inclusion Specialist.
So we get to basically let you know that we had an awesome summer. It was just fabulous. Couple things that particularly my department, we do signature events. Signature events are like our theater in the park, our summer concert series. We do partner events. An example is the Oregon Chinese Coalition Culture Day that was held up at the Jenkins Estate this year. Pride Beaverton. This was also a collaboration with other departments, and we provided the recreation opportunities for the kids attending that festival. If you all went to it, it was amazing. It was very fun, very well attended. We also do public engagement events, and an example in one of the photos here is our Nature Family Fun Night. And we use that theme not just at the Willow Creek Boardwalk, but at other design and development project locations that are either new sites or different amenities that are going to have some future development. So we combine those with other types of events and activities. And then the final was center department supported events. An example of that is Yoga in the Park. We held that at Griffith Park. What a wonderful location, built-in stage, power was there, it was terrific, it was well attended, had a great time, weather really cooperated with us. So we had a fun evening. We supported over 60 events. And those are all of those incorporated, whether they're a partner or, like I said, public engagement or center or department, from our smaller neighborhood events with a few hundred people in attendance to our signature events, such as Big Trip Day, that we collaborate with our Conestoga Recreation and Aquatic Center staff. We had over 7,000 attendees this summer. It's terrific. Few things I just want to touch on. In the one photo you'll see here on my left, it's our new partnership with the BSD Safe Routes to School program. So we added a bike rodeo component to our summer kickoff event at Mountain View Champions Park. It's very successful, and we are planning to have that return again. And so it'll be an annual component to our event. So that's super exciting. Dog events were forefront again this summer, our second annual Canine Community Carnival. We had over 30 vendors. Attendance was steady, and it was a fun day by all, humans and animals. And another great thing, we try to strategically put events in different quadrants throughout the district. So we service all of the areas. So there's a level of walkability or biking to the locations. And we never had a concert in the park at Commonwealth Lake. So this was the first summer we did, and it was hugely successful. 2,500 plus attendees for that summer concert series. And the takeaway by a lot of people were, what's the next event that's going to be held here at the park? So we're really excited as this is our time of year to prepare for next season. So working closely with Holly, our director of our division, and kind of what our goals are, and working with our cultural inclusion department to increase and develop additional partnerships for events. And I think that's a great segue to turn that over to Jazz.
Perfect. Hello, everyone. Jazz Miranda. And I was just looking at the calendar in 2 weeks. I'm going to be here. I've been here 6 months. I have to tell you that it was an amazing summer. The welcoming week as well. And the picture that I want to share with you, like the cartoons when, the little person is going, in the car and things are coming. That was, that's the picture. Super exciting. In the beginning, there were blurbs, and I was just, going with an amazing team supporting and learning a lot. And I am happy to report that now kind of the things look like I recognize them. I know, all those, and still a lot more to learn. I'm excited to be here. Well, talking to you about Welcoming Week. Very exciting, kind of, my first time in a lot of work, a lot of support again from, all THPRD in community partners and people coming to enjoy the events and the activities that we had. Welcoming Week is part of Welcoming America. that is a nationwide nonprofit that works towards creating inclusive communities. Welcoming Week happens every September, and it's a week and 2 days when the idea is to create events where immigrants and refugees are welcome to the communities, and making these events accessible and welcoming for all. And THPRD, we have been part of Welcoming Week for 5 years, and this is the second year where we were an official member of Welcoming America Network. Yes, please. So we had, I'm sorry. Oh, thank you. So we had 9 events, and here these are our own pictures from our own events. And at the El Sister Center, that is, Tai Chi class. We had a couple of events with 55 and better communities, and people really enjoy them. It were the 2 organizations were Latina communities. So people came, a lot of the comments were people had a tour, they loved the facility, and the question was like, when is the next one? When is the next one? When is the next one? Then we had the 2, one week at the beginning of the Welcoming Week and at the end. So people were like, okay, when is the next one? That was definitely a comment that we had. This is the second year that we have Pool Islam having a tournament, and this was a youth basketball tournament. A couple of our centers had a book festival collaboration. Both of them were reading diverse books and bringing people that with different languages and different activities to welcome the community. And yes. We also had a Somos THPRD, that is the affinity group from our own Latina community, and it was an event that was open for everyone, and it was fun to have kind of Welcoming Week inside THPRD, as we are we are a community. So that was a twist that was well received. And we had Caminata de Bienvenida. It's an event that has been done in the past. And part of the comment was, let's make sure that we do it next year. Let's make it bigger. Let's make it more inclusive. And definitely something that we're looking into. All in all, it was a very good week. It was a lot of coordination, great work. It was great. And for 2024, really looking at these beautiful people and more to be able to have a team start working on Welcoming Week 2024 as soon as next month. People from different departments, and we're really looking into long-term relationships with community organizations, listening to what people want to do, not only for Welcoming Week, but that's also what we're looking for the entire year. Already we have a very exciting and sometimes, looking at the calendar that we're putting together, like, oh my God, all these wonderful events that people want to come and have fun with us. So that is something that, we're planning for 2024. Any questions?
No questions. I just want to say thank you for the presentation and thank you. I think the welcoming week and everything that was just presented is just the heart and soul of what THPRD is the type of things, again, I'll talk about the diversity that makes us great and being able to showcase and celebrate that and learn more of each other. It elevates our community. It elevates the conversation. It elevates acceptance and love. So I'm just so grateful for your guys' team and for the staff, because I know it means as much to you guys as it is to the people that were creating these welcoming spaces for, and for as a board as a whole. I know all of us, this is the reason why we kind of want to be here, to make sure that these kinds of programs stay in effect and better our community. So I just wanted to say congratulations and thank you. And I'm so glad that we're working on expanding more and giving more and creating more and having our community actually lead things to create things that they want, rather than us telling them and giving them what we think is what they want. So it's a beautiful thing. So thank you.
I couldn't say it any better, so I just want to do a retweet.
I will also echo that. And I also a question real quick, because I love that there's this focus with the welcoming with our immigrant and refugee communities. But I also know that with these communities, like transportation can sometimes be a barrier to events. And I'm just curious, like where in our welcoming programs is there like are we doing anything for that transportation piece, either with like other partners or other things like that?
Yes. In what we have done, and I appreciate what Tia said about, like, really what the community want. And many times as I'm learning my job and people want an event, people will say, so what does THPRD want? And I'm like, no, this is your event. What do you want? And many times what I say to people, tell me, your wildest idea. And I will tell you how much we can, help you. And if it's like here, maybe we do it here and we walk our way, in the future. So transportation, we actually were working with Venezuelans Voices for Oregon. It was like Caminata. And they were talking about a large group of Venezuelans refugees that were in a hotel. So we were coordinating with them, trying to figure out how to get the bus to go pick them up. They were not able to really work it out with the DHS, or there were some that they couldn't coordinate that, but we were, I'm new, so I'm like, hey Lulu, they're talking about transportation, like, can we? And Lulu like, yes, absolutely. If there is need for transportation, we can work it out. We have done it in the past with other groups, so definitely that is a real need in something that we have the capacity to really be able to work with it. Transportation is a big problem with life. And definitely if we can do anything to make our events more accessible. And that is part of the thinking, okay, 2024, not only for Welcoming Week, it's like also with all the other programs that we're developing with other community organizations.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on what Jazz is saying is our other partner events that we do, those components have already been incorporated into our collaboration. We would help arrange, pay for transportation to get people to events. So something that will continue to be on and expanded on as well.
And those are parts where like sometimes people, the conversation, they will say something and we pick up like, oh, transportation. We can talk about that because people many times they're not used to, oh, you can help us with transportation. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for the intentionality around that. I really appreciate it.
And Jazz, Karen, if I could just piggyback onto that answer to say, we have done it for Centro de Bienvenida. So we have transported folks from Vos Elementary and have a strong partnership with Vos and had transportation coming to get people in for registration. So with limited resources, our priorities, just being fully transparent, are probably going to be for those for access things around like Centro de Bienvenida and where we can be strategic and ensure that we're really getting a good base of people, meaningful access to the registration system. But it is absolutely an emerging component of our events that we continue to strategize and partner build.
Thank you, Holly, for that. Yeah, thank you. This is Parks and Rec is belonging work. So, and you're doing it very well. I would love to just see, I don't think I've seen it. I would love to just see a, you know, just kind of a list of the events that we put on and just kind of which parks had those, if that was possible. I'm just for my own reference. I think that's awesome. I mean, the numbers are great. So at your leisure, no rush, but I would be curious just to see where we were throughout the district with those, you know, those 60 events or whatever over the summer. So I'd be curious. Was that? I couldn't hear you, so that's on me. I'm going to move on to the next one, but thank you all. Okay, we've got Holly and Clint with registration system update.
Hey, almost afraid to ask if you can hear me now.
Now I can hear you.
So what I was saying before we went quick was we will get you the list of events by month for 2023 and also our planning for 2024 as we do that, because we definitely take that geographical lens. Okay, it's really hard to you know, come after events. That's like the super fun stuff and the heart of the district. We're here to talk about the backbone of the district. So they know we have the backbone. We're here to provide y'all an update on transportation, because I'm saying technology infrastructure projects. And I just gave y'all a title because I really wanted to say it that way, infrastructure, right? Because when you think of infrastructure, you think of building things and you think of how long it takes and you think of watching the construction process happen. But what you don't see is all the work that happens before, right? Like the scoping the project, the contracting, the finding the expertise that you need, then the negotiating with them and figuring out the details, and then the getting it right and the planning it, and then to implement it before you see something. So as we talk about the spine in the district and some of our spine, you know, I mean, I'm going to be 50 next year. It's kind of old. It's not as old as me, but it kind of feels that way some days, right? So we've been working on updating our financial system. You know this. It's been a long process, and we've got some really great updates to share. I want to express my gratitude here publicly to Clint, to Paul, to Sarah on her team. They're doing a great job with this project. And Clint has 100% of another job he does every day. The lion's share of the day-to-day work is also happening with Jared's team, and our staff in finance are working so hard doing their day-to-day jobs. Some of that they've had some help. Some of it we haven't been able to find the staff to have as much help as we want for dispersing that workload. They're still making it happen and making incredible progress on our financial system upgrade. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about how as we get closer to the finish line on the financial system, how we'll start gearing up and working on your favorite topic, a new website and a new registration system. But I want you to keep that backbone, that infrastructure, and that timing in place, because it takes a lot of work to get to see that thing built. Take it away.
Board of Directors, my name is Clint Bollinger, and I'm the Information Services Manager for the district here. Today, I'd like to provide an update on our ongoing projects to modernize our financial system and share a glimpse of our future initiatives. Our financial system, as Holly said, is the backbone of our organization. It's enabling us to manage resources efficiently. The project began before the pandemic and continued throughout, facing challenges that were common for many projects during this period. Today, I'll focus on the last two phases slated for completion by 2025. The current phase is addressing essential financials like chart of accounts and procurement, and that is going live in January of 2024. So we are coming down to the finish line of that phase. And then our next phase, the remaining modules will be, that include things like budget, are going to conclude by January of 2025. It's crucial to emphasize, as Holly had mentioned, that this is a project. It's not just a technology project. It's a large-scale business process improvement project, with Financial Services Division taking on the bulk of that system configuration and changing of those business processes. And obviously additional administrative staff making the system go live go as smooth as possible. Looking ahead, our roadmap includes another large-scale business process improvement project, a replacement of our registration system and website with a off-the-shelf product. Our current system was built in-house. They are aging, with our registration system dating back almost 20 years. Maintaining these systems to modern industry standards is quite challenging, especially given our limited resources. We are actively preparing for this new project. Our Recreation Services Division is conducting market research to understand the landscape of available systems and functionalities in both the public and private sectors, knowing that a new system would not be as customizable like our current system is. In the coming months, we'll be drafting an official business case while gradually concluding our financial systems project. Simultaneously, we'll be assembling a project management team and starting the documentation of this new project formally. We aim to open a request for information or an RFI by late 2024, allowing us to refine our project's scope, scale, and budget. The subsequent step is to then open a request for proposal or an RFP by mid-2025. While this timeline is ambitious, we hope to see a new website and registration system in place by January 2027. This plan is our current working model, and we acknowledge that many variables may come into play, but nonetheless, we are committed to ensuring that our current systems remain efficient and up to date as we move forward. That, I want to thank you for your attention and ask if there are any questions or discussion.
Questions, comments, my peers? Barbie, please.
For the dance, I'm doing the dance. More of a comment, and just thank you for centering and your presentation in terms of, and the board's favorite. I think we have certainly talked about and discussed our desire to see this expedited and the realities. And so just sharing back appreciation that I know as we were looking at what's long-term, what's short-term, what can we do tomorrow, that this kind of hits all those buckets. So just want to acknowledge, thank you for hearing us. Thank you for recognizing that this is something that I think on the front lines that we hear quite a bit as we're out in community, as do all of us, right? So if as we move through this process and as we go out for our RFPs or whatnot, I think if ever there's an opportunity where we can expedite, you'll probably hear consensus here that we would love to do that. So recognize that these things do take time. It's not just as easy as getting a web developer and hitting a switch and boom, we go. So appreciate the context of how you framed this with infrastructure, but 2027 gives me a little bit of heartburn still, because public facing, they won't actually see the benefit of that until 2027. So if and where we can speed up, I'm a PM in my day job. I understand scope, schedule, budget. I'm asking for the unrealistic. You can't get all of those at the same time, but just worth noting, I think if we can get anything out the door sooner, even if it's the MVP or whatnot, so that moment of engagement for registration, even if if we were to prioritize what modules can go first, I think selfishly, I would advocate for us to prioritize where our community members engage first.
I really appreciate that comment, and I think you have a lot of supporters on the staff side as well. One thing I would note, just two things. One, this is the first time we've ever publicly talked about that timeline. So 2027 feels really hard to hear. And then he reminded me that it's like 2024 in 2 months, right? So it's really 3 years and 2 months. And I went, oh, okay, that's a different way to think about it. I keep forgetting what year it is. But that being said, in the spirit of of your comment, I think where we can have a really great impact is moving up the website and trying to prioritize getting the website change done as quickly as we can, because we'll have to have the public get used to the new front page, to get used to the new website. We'll have to get the staff, understanding how to put their content in and get it going. So, it isn't the registration system. That's the prize at the end of the tunnel. That's the bright light that we all know we need. But with our in-house design, there's a lot of things that modern websites have that we can't. One of the things that's front in my mind is language access, and how with an off-the-shelf product, we'll have the ability to have a language access and be able to much better serve our public than we do now with our in-house design. It's not possible. Right. We also have a lot of training to do with our staff, because with in-house design, as I've knocked it in here, we've had a lot of customization. We've had a lot of, and we've been very, staff, please don't be mad at me. We've been very indulgent of customization over the years. So there have been lots of, I won't even call them haircuts. They're more like, going to the salon and getting the whole color and everything done, what we've allowed the changes over time. So there are a lot of culture change within the building as well. But I think if we can get that website done a little quicker and get that out the door, that will be a wonderful improvement to that. Thank you.
Anybody else? Comments, questions?
I'll just say, I use the registration every quarter. And it is definitely not a accessible or equitable thing, because if you do know how to finagle it, you have a better chance in getting things versus other. And so I will say, yes, I want to speed it up. I have a hard time of thinking of there's an off the shelf that's going to complete our goal of equitability and access when we come to that point, as far as making things accessible and bringing in Centro and all of that kind of things. And so as much as I do want to speed it up, I also want to be very intentional in that aspect, because I think that's the most important thing, is that we really need it to be simple, but yet equitable and accessible in making sure people are able to get classes, especially I'm thinking of like safety classes for swim classes and those kinds of things for our community. So I'm so happy that it's on the docket now, because I came on 4 years ago and that was like one of the first things I wanted to change. And I know it's been a long process and stuff, but I just want to put it out that I understand the heavy lift that this is going to be. And you have the support of the board to really do the nitty gritty and really take the time and be really intentional, because I know this is just going to be a huge change for everyone, for us, for the community. But once it's all in place, it's going to be hopefully wonderful.
Anything else, Miles? Anything?
Just thank you. Echoing the comments that have already been said.
All right. Thank you all for your hard work on that. Let's come up next. Cameron and Greg?
Yes.
Good evening, Board of Directors. My name is Cameron Hall. I'm a Park Maintenance Supervisor North for the north half of the district.
My name is Greg Krieger. I'm the Eastern Trail Supervisor.
All right, so tonight I'm going to talk to you about the expansion of our park shelter reservation program we worked on this year, as well as show you some photos for some projects that park maintenance staff completed throughout the summer. So you'll see on the right-hand side there the number of rentals from 2019 to 2023. Obviously, 2020 was our low year with one. Before this year, we offered a one-a-day shelter reservations at 8 park sites. But starting July 1 of this year, we began to offer our patrons the opportunity to reserve shelters twice a day at 14 different sites. So we had an internal process where we evaluated which sites would be eligible to be good spots for shelter reservations, and we added on HMT Softball, Camp Rivendell, Bethany Creek, Paravar Park, Pio Pio, and Ridgewood View. So we've seen those numbers go up, and 2023 is not over yet. So I'm imagining we'll get quite a few more for the year. Next, we'll jump into some projects that my staff and Park Maintenance South staff completed throughout this year. This was at one of my sites, Somerset Meadows Park. Earlier in the year, we evaluated pretty much overall tree health for the park, 35 trees, and we determined 6 of them to be dead or decline in a state of decline and to be unsafe. So we had those trees removed, the stumps ground out, and then my staff on the right there planted 9 new autumn blaze maples, which are more drought tolerant species. And we're always trying to, live our values, and this is preserving our natural spaces. So when trees came out, we wanted trees to go in. So it's a great success. I know the neighbors have had a lot of compliments for that park. Up next was community garden re-expansion and renovation project at Schiffler Park. This one was a collaborative effort between Park Maintenance, Design and Development Department, and a contractor. So for this project, Park Maintenance staff took out all the old beds. The contractors came in, leveled the ground, added the new boxes, and then Park Maintenance staff came back in, added the gravel to the pathways around the ADA plots that are raised, added soil to the remaining interior plots, and wood chips around the perimeter park. So I had this site for a handful of years before I came to the north side. It's a huge improvement. It was much needed, and I know that is a very active garden, so I'm hoping the community really enjoys it. Up next is the Kennedy Garden site upgrades. This was one of the 2 community gardens given to us by the city to take over ownership of, just north of AM Kennedy Park. This was completed by the South staff. So far, Park Maintenance staff have removed several trees for more sun exposure along the frontage, relocated and built a new recycled chip bin, removed vegetation along the perimeter fence line, fixed the main entrance gate, removed existing panels for an additional recycled chip bin in the northeast section of the garden, and added 2 benches. So that's phase 1, and they'll be doing a lot more work. I know Park Maintenance South staff worked with garden stewards there to see what was really needed, and that work was completed just in the last couple months. So that was a really great success story for us. A couple more photos here. The frontage there, we always try to do good befores and afters. When our sites are huge, it's tough to capture what really happens when we do the work. So there's a couple for this one. Up next, this was a project my staff completed, the Barsodi Park Greenways Recycling Bin and Pathway Project. I'm always amazed at what our staff can do internally. Everybody, the collective knowledge is really phenomenal. For this one, the gardeners there just had the waste management roll-away green waste bins, and we found those got filled very fast whenever green waste was accumulated. So we worked with Jessica Kittleson, and we actually had we took a plot out that was being unused and added the bin on the right-hand side, and my staff did all the concrete work. So it makes it a cleaner entrance for people when they come in to do their gardening. And when that gets filled up, we bring equipment in to clean it. It makes that a lot easier, especially if the ground's really soft in the wintertime. So a really great park improvement there. This next one on the left-hand side, actually earlier this summer, a vehicle backed into that fountain accidentally. So you'll see that it pulled up through the concrete. But lucky for us, that was a fountain that was not ADA accessible. So we used that as an opportunity to make it ADA accessible. This is Pirate Park right along the Rock Creek Trail. On the right-hand side, staff had to excavate the entire fountain, put a new pad in, redo the plumbing underneath. And we added a dog bowl because I know it's a very busy corridor for a lot of walkers in the hot summertime heat. Next, this is the McMillan Park water culvert and pathway replacement project. This was another great success. On the left-hand side, you'll see the culvert was failing in the creek and the pathway was starting to degrade. So Park Maintenance staff cut away the pathway, pulled the culvert, put a new one in, added a rock base, poured a cement slab over the top, and added railing on both sides. The best part of this project, it was contracted for $30,000, but we opted to do it in-house in 3 days for $7,000. So that's a really big win for us. And the last project for our park maintenance, things we accomplished this summer is the ADA improvements done at Greenway Park. This project came from the Parks Advisory Committee and was funded out of their challenge grant for the $10,000. They built decomposed granite pathways with concrete curving to 4 of the basketball courts that were not ADA accessible, and installed 2 new ADA accessible benches. This project is great because it accomplishes goals from the Greenway Park concept plan. It eliminated barriers found in the ADA transition plan, and it also supports the safe and accessible goal found in our vision action plan. So this was a real winner for us, and I think staff did a great job with the installs. And that's a tough park to maintain given how wet it can get, but staff do a really good job with it. So that's what park maintenance did for the summer. So we also had a very busy few months. And up next is Greg in the Nature Trails Department. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Cameron. Good evening, everybody. All right, thank you for this opportunity. I'm here to speak with you all today about the Nature and Trails Group and some of the work that we do. So I manage the on-ground work of the staff who care for the district's trails and natural areas. We have expertise in wildlife, pollinators, trees and tree health, habitat management, plants, native and introduced, trail building and trail maintenance, and education and outreach. These photos here highlight some of our primary functions. So we're maintaining natural areas and trails. We're restoring natural areas to improve wildlife habitat, and we are educating the public. Right, so the Nature and Trails Department, we manage the regional trail system as well as paved and soft surface trails and natural area sites. We seek to provide safe and accessible sites where park users can travel, where they can recreate, and where they can experience nature. Maintenance of these sites include work like this. The picture on the left shows the bridge over Bronson Creek, which itself is an important tributary to Beaverton Creek and ultimately the Tualatin River. In that picture, you can see the decking has decayed and was in need of replacement. Staff worked together to plan this work out, which involved removal of the old decking, cutting very precisely, and securing the new decking to this bridge. All right, Commonwealth Lake Park. This is one of our most, if not our most visited site in the park district, not just for its walking path and park amenities, but also for its wildlife viewing. So wildlife here, it might surprise you, it includes all sorts of things like river otter, maybe less surprisingly beaver. But through our data from our community science programs, we know that the site also has turtle populations. So we have both red-eared sliders and native western painted turtles here. So over this past summer, staff performed survey work, setting up hoop traps over a couple weeks to collect data on individual turtles at the site. This data, along with data collected from local partner organizations, helps paint a picture of population health of native turtles throughout the Tualatin Basin. It also informs our management decisions on site. So this would be related to things like turtle nesting habitat and basking structures. So in these photos here, we have a couple of the turtles, a red-eared slider, a painted turtle, and then a couple staff there setting up the hoop traps there. All right, Morrison Woods. So the Nature and Trails Department maintains and stewards over 150 natural area sites, big and small, from Walden Hills Nature Park, Cooper Mountain Nature Park, Highland Woods, to natural areas within developed park sites where we partner with the Park Maintenance Department. We provide long-term stewardship of natural area sites as they change over time. So about 20 years ago, this was one of our first large-scale restoration projects. The photo on the left, that shows the site shortly after staff and volunteers planted trees and shrubs. This was shortly before a soft surface trail was installed at this site. Now, 20 years later, the plantings, they were so successful that staff had to come and thin out some of the vegetation for long-term tree health. So this continuing work is a great example of the long-term stewardship that we provide for the benefit of both wildlife and park patrons. So with that, we just want to thank you very much for your time. And if you have any comments or questions.
Cameron and Greg, thank you so much. The work that your teams have done is incredible. A special shout out to Schiffler Park, the community garden. That's my neighborhood park, and I've been watching that renovation and expansion, and it is super cool to see where it's at and just how the community has engaged in that space. But yeah, big kudos to both your teams. It's been really cool to see.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. That was great. River otters and Commonwealth. Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Otter there.
All right. I think we are moving along to agenda item number 8. Bruce.
Good evening. I'm Bruce Barbarash, Nature and Trails Manager, and also the coordinator of lots of special projects like the strategic plan, which I'm really thrilled about. I think many of you know this, but the strategic plan was adopted earlier this year. It's really the 5-year segment of how we carry out our 20-year comprehensive plan. And there are 7 focus areas for the plan. Tonight, I'm going to give you a brief update about each section, followed by some next steps. You've already seen a lot of stuff from staff here about what's going on with the plan. And one thing that's super important to remember is the plan, in a lot of ways, is a refocusing of what staff are doing. Like, we're already doing a lot of these things, but staff take a second look and make sure they're really honed into the community needs they've heard. And a few things are new. It definitely makes us step back and go, maybe we're not going to work so much on that, but we're going to focus on some of these other things. And because some of these things you've heard about already tonight, I'm not going to go into extreme detail, but I at least wanted to highlight the general nature of each section. So the welcoming and inclusive section of the plan, it builds community, it builds partnerships, and it really helps people feel like they're invited to come and play and experience all that we offer. And so those things include like the Welcoming Week that you heard about, things like our Pride Together event, and then different things like the cultural market that we had at Chifler Park on the far side there. Play for Everyone represents all the ways that people play and participate in programs and activities. And starting on the far left side, some of that fundamental work really is the financial aid that help connect people to, so that no matter what your background is, you have the opportunity to get involved. In the middle, we have a whole variety of free as well as fee-based programs, both out in the parks as well as in facilities. Again, with the idea, you might not be able to make it to a facility, but we're going to try and make sure you have the opportunity if you want to. And on the far left there, a thing that's going on right now is that sports groups are re-affiliating, going through a process to kind of check in so that we make sure that everybody gets a fair chance to use the fields. And that's kind of a newer thing for us, at least to kind of stop and evaluate that. An undercurrent in all of that is the accessible and safe section. And sometimes these aren't the exciting things, but they're like sort of the critical infrastructure. This ranges from things like the not so exciting looking spreadsheet on the far side, but the essential spreadsheet, right? When we track and figure out where our capital needs are, we're really better able to serve and spend the money we have better. It also includes the less glamorous daily and seasonal maintenance that our staff do inside facilities and outdoors in parks, as well as things like grant writing for future improvements, like connecting sections of the West Side Trail that we see up here. We've long been focused on environmental stewardship in different ways, and I think the plan has really helped us hone in. So we've started working on a climate action plan, and that stretches across multiple work groups. So these vans that you see here don't seem environmental at first blush, but thanks to a great grant writing job by our staff, we now have 2 electric vans. Great way to get our jobs done with a little bit less impact on the world. It also involves things like environmental education that you see in the middle photo, and the nature experiences and workforce training internship we have that appeals to and is catered towards diverse audiences. And then on the far side, we're on the ground addressing some issues of climate change with some modifications to creeks at the Tualatin Hills Nature Park to help with some of the more intense winter flows we have. We have these sort of side channels that we've carved as part of a larger project to kind of let water spread out more and erode less. We have a section called Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Access, and we try and do that work, as you saw in some of the earlier slides, towards the public. This one's a little bit more focused on internal things, such as reviewing our recruitment and selection process, and some of our kind of structural pieces of how we reach out during park planning processes, as well as sort of the continuous improvement of offering trainings to staff in different subject areas. And for example, this one is offered through Partners in Diversity, kind of one of our nonprofit groups that we work with. You already heard about this, but it's super worth reinforcing. Like a lot of the things we do are supported by our technology and innovation groups. And this ranges from, again, the registration program, the financial package, as well as asset management software that we're starting to look at as well. Because when we combine all these things, again, we're better able to tap the resources that we have, and also sometimes to look ahead towards grants or thinking about, having enough data to serve the whole park district well, not just our impression of it, but to have the data to do that. And then last but not least is our financial sustainability. I know you've had a number of updates about this, but a big thing that staff are doing, and the financial sustainability really allows us to continue to offer all the high quality programs and services that we do. We're working on the levy task force, of course. Behind the scenes, we're looking at a financial futures project that helps us to evaluate new revenue and cost saving options. And so we're really trying to embrace like the wholeness of the strategic plan. There's a bunch of next steps that we have. A lot of them are continuations of things that you've heard here, and they really kind of run the gamut. I'll give you a minute to absorb that. But I think the main thing that we wanted you to know is that we continue to work through these things, trying to hone the resources we have. And we're really, in the future, going to present a much more in-depth package and report of, hey, this is what we accomplished over the year. This is sort of an update, recognizing we've only been working away at it for a few months. But we hope this provides information for you as you prepare for your annual report. And then we're here, of course, to answer any questions or hear comments that you have that you might want to send us in different directions or emphasis on.
Oh, this is great, Bruce. I'm super excited. The only thing that kind of comes to mind when I'm thinking about all of this and when it's presented in the future is kind of based on our Northwest equity thing, like how are the things we are doing measurable? And how are we, what goals do we have set and where are we in those goals? And so that we're not just doing all these different projects and not really knowing how far we are getting in some kinds of goals. But it would be really helpful to have like a goal setting of, like, take for instance, like the climate action, like how much of our carbon are we trying to reduce and where are we in that? Or, if we're trying to, for like Central, like how many people we're trying to get. So things that are measurable, I would like to see in the future, just so that we have a better understanding of the impact that we are actually having for all of these strategic things. And whether I'm sure they're going to differ depending on which subject we're touching upon, but I'd really like to figure out a way to be able to see that more. And
where we can, we certainly will. In some areas, we hope to see staff be able to demonstrate certain skills too.
I just wanted to say that as a board member that has come on after the fact, that you all, the district and the directors, including former director Edwards, incredible to come into this and be so excited to be a partner moving forward with it. And then also on the environmental stewardship piece, when we did the Beaverton celebration, Director Miner and Director Monteblanco and I got to see the new electric van in action. Great. Might want to put a bell on it. It is so quiet. But it is truly amazing to see just the emphasis that we're putting in all these spaces, but getting to see those things firsthand in the community is really cool too.
Thank you.
Anything, Barbie?
Sir.
Thank you, Bruce. One thing that just comes to mind for me is kind of on the welcoming and inclusive side. I'm keenly interested in how we can so how am I going to phrase it? So it just, we do such a great job with our park names and our naming system and things like that. I would love to see us articulate that a little bit more so that people who visit the parks have a sense of the why of a name and the story and why, you know, that kind of, I think for starters, I think, of course, I'd love to see, you know, awesome art and all this stuff. That's, you know, that's something we'd need to, you know, probably leverage some help with, you know, foundation or donations or something of that nature. But I would love to just get a little more of that, you know, the story of the parks, especially when they were named and sort of intentionally to help increase belonging and placemaking, how we can, you know, keep kind of articulating that to all who visit. So that's one thing that kind of comes into my mind, you know, with Parivar, with La Raíz that's coming up soon, and places like that. So, and even ones that are, you know, named after community members or something like that, that, you know, just anything that kind of helps build that sense of place and history and you know, why this place is what it is before those things just get lost to, you know, the folks who visit. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Will do.
All right. Well, I think we are at the end. I did not get my gavel loaded into my luggage, so
Say when.
man, I need a travel one that I can disassemble and bring with me if I'm ever on the road again. But thank you all very much. I'm going to say we are adjourned, and have a great night, Oregon, and we will enjoy the rest of the NRPA conference here in Dallas.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Just